the District Court Judge, Acting Judge Paul Conlon, very sensible man, he said judges have, quote, unfortunately in recent times seen many examples of cases being pursued with no reasonable prospect of conviction, with the inevitable result of an acquittal. Now, Bettina, what does your research tell you? I mean, didn't the same Judge Conlon slam the handling of the Higgins rape allegations against Lehman? And Paul Conlon said the case was doomed, his word, because the claims were made public before it reached the court. I mean, Higgins chose to go down the political and media road, didn't she, instead of the criminal justice road?
And then she turned around and said how, the shocking situation she'd been in, all her private life exposed to the world. She was cross-examined. She chose all that. She could have taken advantage of all the careful conditions we now have for women who want to make these accusations in court. They can give all their evidence by video. They're protected in every conceivable way. Higgins didn't want that. She wanted a showcase. She wanted to be out in public. And then she turned around and blamed the system for letting her down. I mean, what let her down was her shonky story. And as the evidence was revealed about what actually happened, people were less and less convinced. I mean, particularly, I'm sure you saw that video, the CCTV video of her going through the security, tripping along, having claimed she was totally, paralytic. And there she is, able to walk in a perfectly reasonable straight line, looking very cheerful. So many aspects of her story don't stand
then
up.
you see the political side. You had both Albanese and Morrison apologising to Higgins in the Parliament. Yeah. I mean, it might be naive of them, but surely that is prejudicial to justice, is it not?
Oh, that was an absolute disgrace. And at that point, I decided that Morrison's off my list forevermore.
Yes.
And people wrote to me from everywhere saying they were just horrified by that.
Well, see, now politically, you've got this Senator Van, no one's ever heard of him, groping women. No one condones any of that stuff. No. But the media want to elevate the Van issue to the level of the Higgins case, where it's now clear there was a deliberate, I think your word was plot, by Higgins and the boyfriends Shiraz and Wilkinson to successfully recruit Gallagher and others to destroy the Morrison government and then pay off Higgins with millions of dollars for services rendered.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a monumental scandal we're dealing with here. People across Australia are just appalled at that payoff. She got paid off for bringing down the government, essentially. Well, that's certainly how it appears. And there are a lot of questions that need to be answered there, and I hope we'll see it. People are very pleased that this looks like it's going to be referred.
See, Bettina, everybody's thrown around the so-called Jenkins report into parliamentary behaviour. She's a sex discrimination commissioner. A survey which reveals 61% of bullying in the parliament was actually done by women. And in the end of the day here, though, isn't the issue about this poll or survey or whatever the fact that she cast the net so wide, the broadest possible definition of sexual harassment, which included staring, leering, loitering, sexually suggestive jokes or comments, repeated invitations to go on a date is sexual abuse.
And then, despite that huge net they cast, asking every conceivable, aspect of this sort of behaviour, they still got such a poor response. And they got, it was 40-something% of women claiming they were harassed, which of course as you included all this staring, unwanted staring.
Yeah. And of course it covered incidents where people travelled to work or attended after-work drinks. I mean, they were miles from the parliamentary workplace.
That's right. And the media constantly beats up that research as if it's significant. I mean, it's total rubbish, that research. And it says nothing really about what's happening in that culture. I just want on that point. I mean, I thought Amanda Stoker was very interesting because of course she came out and said she'd had an issue with Van and that he'd, touched her bottom. But she did the right thing. She called him out, said that was inappropriate behaviour and it shouldn't happen again, and it didn't. I mean, she also reported it to someone else. That is how adult women should handle that sort of level of sexual harassment. I mean, what are we? Total snowflakes that can't ever stand up for herself? What is a member of parliament doing who can't speak to a man and say, I found that offensive?